So, we're about to dive into a document that, if it's real, could be one of the most incredible historical finds of all time. It claims to be a confidential report from the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, written directly to the Emperor Tiberius, describing in his own words his run-in with Jesus of Nazareth. I mean, just think about it for a second. What if the very man who condemned Jesus to death was so profoundly shaken by what he saw that he felt he had to write a secret report about it to the most powerful man in the world? Well, that's the explosive premise of the text we're looking at today. And believe me, this isn't some dry administrative memo. The text claims to contain details you just won't find anywhere else, not even in the Gospels. I'm talking a head-to-toe physical description of Jesus from a Roman's perspective, a soldier's eyewitness account of the resurrection, and we even get to hear Pilate's own private thoughts about the man he sent to the cross. So the letter kicks off pretty much exactly how you'd expect a formal report to Caesar would. But right from the get-go, you can feel this unusual sense of urgency in Pilate's words. Right away, Pilate tells the emperor that what's just happened could, shape the entire destiny of the Roman nation. He even calls it a cursed day when he took over as governor of Judea. This is not business as usual. He sounds like a man who is deeply, deeply troubled by what he's just witnessed. Pilate immediately paints Jerusalem as a complete nightmare assignment. He talks about a rebellious population, hostile local priests, and get this, he admits he's massively understaffed, living in constant fear of an uprising he knows he can't control. And you have to keep this context in mind, because it's absolutely crucial for understanding the decisions he's about to make. And right into this political powder keg walks a new figure, a young preacher from Galilee, who, according to this letter, immediately grabs Pilate's attention. So when Pilate first starts hearing whispers about this Jesus of Nazareth, his first thought is, okay, is this another guy trying to start a rebellion? But after sending his spies to listen in, his takeaway is the complete opposite. He actually concludes that Jesus seems more friendly to Rome than to the local establishment. You know that famous line, right? When some agitators tried to trap Jesus with a question about paying Roman taxes, this was his answer. And apparently, that reply is what sealed the deal for Pilate. The governor didn't hear a rebel, he heard a brilliant philosopher, someone he thought should be protected, not punished. Okay, so Pilate's decision to basically give this preacher a free pass to speak his mind, well, it did not go over well with some people. In fact, it ended up creating a really dangerous alliance of some very powerful enemies. And this is really where you see the core conflict. On one side, you've got the religious leaders screaming blasphemer and rebel agitator. But on the other side, you have the Roman governor himself, who just sees a wise man, zero threat to Rome, someone who he thinks actually needs protecting. I mean, those two viewpoints just can't coexist. So you might be asking, why were they so angry? Well, according to this account, Jesus really didn't pull any punches. He was out there publicly calling the city's most powerful men out with some pretty harsh language. I mean, calling them snakes and painted tombs, that was pretty much guaranteed to get a furious reaction. So all this simmering tension just explodes during the Passover festival, which is like the most volatile week of the year in Jerusalem. The city is jam-packed, and Jesus' enemies figure this is the perfect time to force Pilate to act. And the really critical thing to understand here is this totally bizarre coalition that forms against Jesus. You've got the Herodians, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees. We're talking three groups that were often bitter enemies, and they suddenly find a common cause. They all unite with one single goal: to whip up the Passover crowds and demand an execution. Now, the letter paints this picture of a governor who is just desperately trying to get out of giving a death sentence. He says he sent Jesus over to Herod, but Herod just sent him right back. He tried arguing legal procedure. He offered to release a prisoner for the festival, but the crowd picked a known criminal instead. He even had Jesus flogged, hoping a lesser punishment would be enough. But nothing worked. So finally, backed into a corner and terrified of a citywide riot that he knows he can't stop, Pilate makes that famous symbolic move. He calls for a bowl of water, washes his hands in front of everybody, and basically declares, "I'm innocent of this man's blood." He's telling them, this is on you, not me. But wait, the crucifixion isn't where this report ends. Not even close. In fact, this is where the whole story shifts from a political drama to something truly extraordinary, especially from a Roman military point of view. So let's break down the timeline of what happened next, because it's super important. Day 1, Jesus is buried. The priests get worried about his followers faking a resurrection, so they ask for a Roman guard. Day 2, Pilate says okay and posts soldiers at the tomb. And then on day 3, those very same guards come back with an impossible report. The tomb is empty. And get this. This is supposedly the guard's testimony, word for word, to Pilate. It's not a subtle description at all. He talks about a blinding light, seeing what looked like a crowd of joyful dead people, and hearing this incredible, unearthly music. I mean, can you imagine? This is a field report unlike any a Roman governor would ever expect to get. So in the chaos right after, the priests apparently try to start a cover-up. They supposedly offer the guards a bunch of money to spread a different story, that there was an earthquake, they all fell asleep, and the disciples snuck in and stole the body. But the secret report that actually landed on Pilate's desk, it told a completely different story. A divine, supernatural event, absolute terror, and a body that just vanished. Okay, so after all of that, the trial, the execution, this completely unbelievable report from his own guards, what is Pilate's final takeaway in his letter to Caesar? And what about that physical description we were promised at the beginning? After looking at all the evidence, Pilate, the pragmatic Roman official, the guy who literally passed the sentence, he supposedly ends his report with this absolutely staggering conclusion. For a polytheistic Roman governor to write this to the emperor is, to put it mildly, just mind-blowing. And finally, the letter delivers on that physical description that the Gospels never give us. Pilate reports a man of medium height with this calm but really commanding presence. His hair is described as long and light brown, his eyes are deep and penetrating, and his face is symmetrical and inspires both trust and reverence. It's a description that, as many historians have pointed out, sounds a lot like later European paintings of Jesus, which definitely raises some questions about where this text really came from. So, Pilate wraps it all up by reaffirming his loyalty to Caesar and stating that he's reported everything as faithfully as he possibly could, basically staking his entire career on this unbelievable story. And that, of course, brings us to the ultimate question. Is this thing an authentic, lost report from a Roman governor, a one-of-a-kind account of world-changing events, or is it just a brilliant piece of early Christian fiction written to boost a new faith? You know, most modern scholars definitely lean towards the second option, but the power of the document itself, it's still there. And that's exactly what makes the Pilate letter one of history's most fascinating and enduring what-ifs.